made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God, and we understood Him. We understand that there was 2 steps before we reached this point. The first one, that we admit that we're powerless over the effects of our separation from God, that our lives have become unmanageable. And step 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to the people that God created us to be. Amen? We understand that power to be our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen? The true power which we need that will transform our lives. I want us to turn to Philippians chapter 2. I want to share something with you. And we're going to get into this step a little further. The Bible tells us that God is light, and there is no darkness in Him at all. Okay? The problem is, we want to be testimonies of light too, but the problem is we still have a lot of darkness inside of us. And that holds back a lot of Christians from really shining Christ, because we're still living in a lot of that darkness. I want us to go to Philippians 2, and we're going to go to verse 12. Apostle Paul telling us, "Dear friends, you always followed my instruction when I was with you, and now that I am away, it is even more important." And it tells us really here, work hard to show the results of your salvation. We don't work for our salvation, okay? We know we believe in Jesus, but we have to work hard to show the results of that salvation. See what it says? Obeying God with deep reverence and fear. For God is working in you, giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases Him. Now the problem is, we get a lot of darkness inside of us that it's very hard to please God when we're living in that darkness. And we haven't brought it to the light yet. That's why we have stepping into the light here, so we can get rid of that darkness. Now look what it says in verse 14. Do everything without complaining and arguing, so that no one can criticize you. Live clean, innocent lives as children of God, shining like bright lights in a world full of crooked and perverse people. Now, if you look at the way the world is going today, okay, it's really showing up crooked and perverse people. This is the biggest, almost glorious time for a Christian to shine for Christ than ever before in history, okay? And the problem is, Christians are not shining brightly for Christ because there's still a lot of darkness in them that they haven't got rid of, and they can't shine. And that's why we do this process to get rid of that darkness. Paul said, I look forward to this one thing, forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead. Jesus saved us, and He has a plan for us, but obviously there's things that hold us back from fulfilling that plan. And that's where recovery comes in, so we can find out what it is, so we can get rid of that darkness, and we can shine bright for Christ in a world full of crooked and perverse people, because before we got saved, we were part of the world full of wicked and perverse things, crooked and perverse people. So once we get saved, that stuff is still in us. I don't care how long you've been saved, if you haven't dealt with any of it, it's still there. And you're still showing people. It's very hard for people to see the difference anymore from Christians and non-Christians. The church has accepted sin into the church, all kinds of crazy stuff going on, and it's like, it's intermixing, and it's sad. I want to be a bright light for Christ. I do not want to walk in darkness anymore. And whatever I have to do that, I'm going to do. And that's why we have this available, so we can get out of the dark and step into the light. Amen. And actually have an impact on the kingdom of darkness. Amen. Obviously, you all know what stuff is still lurking inside. It says, put to death all the sinful things that are lurking inside you. In other words, sin lurks inside the believer that has not brought the sin to the light. And you know it as well as I do, the sins that have not been brought to the light still have power over you. There's no question about it. You can't tell me any different, because I know for a fact, because I'm a sinner. And everything that I hide still has power in my life. The Bible says in James to confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you can be healed. We need to heal from that sickness. That's why we need to what? Get together, find out what's wrong with us, and get rid of it. Amen. I want us to go to Acts chapter 17. I wish for me it was that easy to just come to Jesus and everything's washed away and my life is just 100% now. I wish it was that easy. Don't you? I wish all that stuff from my past did not try to come back and haunt me and still live within me and still rear its ugly head in my life today. Amen? Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Forgetting the past is not that easy, especially if you never dealt with it. It'll always come back and get you into your new life in Christ. The devil is trying to bring you back into your old life. Jesus is trying to give you a new life, and he's trying to crucify the stuff that happened in the past. So we can live in freedom from that. And if you're still falling prey to the sinful things that you were doing in your past, it's because either you're gaining something out of it and you're enjoying it, and you're not ready to bring it to the light because it's still doing something for you. Or you can't stop, it's controlling you. The Bible says you have no obligation to do what your sinful nature urges you to do, for if you live by its dictates, you will die. I'm saved and going to heaven, but if I live by that dictate now, it's going to kill me, spiritually and physically. You've got to get rid of it. Jesus died to get rid of our sin nature, not to keep it alive and well. Jesus didn't have to die for me to be a sinner, to stay a sinner. He died so I can come up out of that and change and become a new person and start to shine brightly for Christ. Remember Apostle Paul, right? He was killing Christians. Jesus touched him and he turned right around. His name, he was so different that his name changed. That's what I want. I want to experience the resurrection. The only way I'm going to experience the resurrection from my sin nature is if it dies. Before something gets resurrected, it has to die. The Bible says I should consider myself dead to sin, to the power of sin. Now, if the power of sin is still alive, now the sanctification process is painful, right? Our sin nature still gets the best of us, we get up. But there has to be some kind of a goal set for us to get rid of it, or else we're just going to stay doing it and get comfortable with sin. Now, don't answer this, but keep it to yourself. What sins are you still comfortable with? Thinking that God just takes it away and he's okay with it. As a matter of fact, in the daily walk, I'm reading Jeremiah, and that's what the people of Israel were doing. They were getting comfortable in their sin, and then going and worship, and he said, don't come and worship me. You're full of debt, you're full of sin, and you're infected with sin. And it's the way the church is today, too. I'm infected, and I'm living like the devil, but I'm coming to worship God, and he's happy with me. It ain't no different today as it was then. Okay? It says, if you can still let your sin nature control you as a believer, it will kill you spiritually. You will never grow spiritually if your sin nature is getting the best of you and still controlling you. As a matter of fact, it shows you how carnal you are because you're still living worldly. We have to understand my flesh is still alive and I'm still living in it. Jesus died so I can get out of the flesh and live in the spirit. Here's where spiritual growth comes in. Spiritual growth isn't knowing your Bible. It's actually applying what you know and using it when rubber meets the road and said, okay, here comes my sin now. I want to do this. Here's the crossroad right now. What am I going to do? Am I just going to jump into it? Or am I going to remember that Jesus died so I don't have to do that anymore and I can say no to it? Or am I just going to do it? Say, well, God covers it. No, it's all good. No growth. No change. No transformation. Or just a bunch, the Bible can give you a bunch of information and not cause any kind of transformation in your life. I was doing that to the Pharisees. They were saying, Jesus said, you search the scriptures because you think it gives you eternal life. All the scriptures point to me, Jesus said. You can know all the scriptures you want, but you don't know me. All right. Let's read Acts 17. Let's read Discovering God. A lot of us have a warped concept of God. It's very hard to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God when we don't really understand or know that well. Look what it says. Step 3. See it? Discovering God. If you have a recovery Bible, we're on step 3. Page 1409. We made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God. Before we can turn our life over to God, we need to have an accurate understanding of who He is. It's crucial that we entrust ourselves to the God who loves us and not to the God of this world who seeks only to deceive and destroy us. So, you mean I can submit to the God of this world even as a believer? Absolutely. But never take that choice away from you. Even the Apostle Paul, he thought he was serving God when he was killing Christians. He was serving the God of this world, and he thought he was serving the God of the Bible. Look what it says. Who seeks only to deceive is right. The Apostle Paul described the deceiver this way. Satan, who is the god of this world, has blinded the minds of those who don't believe. Now, can a believer fall into unbelief? Absolutely. You can get blinded by spiritual darkness as a believer and start living in the world again, doing everything the world says, and just going to church and playing church. No change, no transformation, back into spiritual darkness again. They are unable to see the glorious light of the good news. Why can you not see the glorious light of the good news? Because when you're living in darkness and in sin, you don't want to see the light of the good news. They don't understand this message about the glory of Christ, who is the exact likeness of God. 2 Corinthians 4:4. Has Satan deceived us? How can we be sure that we have a true understanding of God? When Paul addressed the men of Athens, he said, I saw your many shrines, and one of your altars had this inscription on it, to the unknown God. This God whom you worship without knowing is the one I'm telling you about. His purpose was the nations to seek after God and perhaps feel their way towards Him and find Him, though He is not far from any one of us. For in Him we live, move, and exist. Acts 17:23, 27, and 28. Even though God may be unknown to us, He is near and willing to reveal Himself. God has promised that if you look for me and wholeheartedly, you will find me. Jeremiah 29:13. Think about this now. Wholeheartedly. Look, God knows your heart. He knows if you're seeking His will or not. You can come here and tell me that you're seeking His will, but He knows if you are or not, okay? And guess what? He's not far from any of us. Matter of fact, He's with us all the time. The only thing that separates that is our sin nature keeps us from wanting to have that relationship with Him. You will find me. So if your still nature is controlling, is still controlling you, you're not looking for God. It's just a plain fact. You're not looking for God if you're seeking sin. If you're seeking to get rid of it, God is right there. God has promised that if you look for me, you'll find me. Turning over our will involves accepting God as He is instead of insisting on creating Him in our own image. When we seek God with an open heart and mind, we will find Him. Amen? Now, let's get an accurate understanding of God. Let's read chapter 17, verse 16 on. While Paul was waiting for them in Athens, he was deeply troubled by all the idols he saw everywhere in the city. He went to the synagogue to reason with the Jews and the God-fearing Gentiles, and he spoke daily in the public square to all who would happen to be there. He also had a debate with some of the Epicurean and Stoic philosophers. When he told them about Jesus and His resurrection, they said, what is this babbler trying to say with these strange ideas he's picked up? Others said, he seems to be preaching about some foreign gods. Well, before we knew the real God, that same thing was going on with us. We were worshiping foreign gods. We didn't really know God. You know what I mean? Until we understood His word. That's why they didn't understand the God He was talking about, because they were worshiping foreign gods, not the God of the Bible. Just like we were worshiping foreign gods, like the God of this world, not even knowing Him. Then they took him to the high council in the city. Come and tell us about this new teaching, they said. You're saying some rather strange things, and we want to know what it's all about. It should be explained that all the Athenians, as well as the foreigners in Athens, seem to spend all their time discussing the latest ideas. You get that going on now? There's a lot of New Age ideas about God going on now, instead of sticking to the Word of God. Look what it says. So Paul, standing before the council, addressed them as follows. Men of Athens. Actually, he complimented them. Understand, God, Paul tells us to be an example. He was an example to us. He complimented those people that were worshiping other gods. He said, you're very religious. He didn't knock them. He complimented them first. Because look, if you knock somebody, you're never going to be able to open their heart. You close their heart if you knock them. Right? Because you're knocking their belief. That means you're knocking them because that's their belief. You're knocking them too. Men of Athens, I noticed you were very religious in every way. For as I was walking along, I saw your many shrines. And one of your altars had this inscription on it, to an unknown God. This God whom you worship without knowing is the one I'm telling you about. Now, way back then when I used to worship God too. When I was back in the church when I was young. But I didn't know who he was. I worshiped the God I didn't know. Same thing. Look, you'll never know God if you don't read the Bible. You'll never know God. Here's the God. Listen to what it says now. This is the God of the Bible. He is the God who made the world and everything in it. Since he is Lord of heaven and earth, he doesn't live in man-made temples, and human hands can't serve his needs, for he has no needs. He himself gives life and breath to everything, and he satisfies every need. From one man he created all the nations through the whole earth. He decided beforehand when they should rise and fall, and he determined their boundaries. His purpose was for the nations to seek after God and perhaps feel their way towards him and find him, though he is not far from any one of us. For in him we live, move, and exist. As some of your own poets have said, we are his offspring. And since this is true, we shouldn't think of God as an idol designed by craftsmen from gold or silver or stone. God overlooked people's ignorance about these things in earlier times. But now he commands everyone everywhere to repent of their sins and turn to him. For he has set a day of judging the world with justice by the man he has appointed, and he has proved to everyone who this is by raising him from the dead, which is who? Jesus, right? So that everybody in this earth is alive and breathing because of God. God created the people that you get mad at, that don't believe in him. God created them all, and he loves each and every one of them. The problem is with Christianity, we become haters instead of people that love. People that love. God loves all creation. We're to love the unbelievers and hate the sin that contaminates their life, it says in Jude. But the problem is, we still got a lot of hate inside of us that we haven't dealt with. You can't give someone love if you don't possess it. Some of us hate ourselves for the things we've done in the past. It's a sin to hate yourself because Jesus loves us unconditionally. Why can't we shine brightly for Christ in this world? Because our sin nature is very alive and well as soon as we walk out of the church doors. People won't notice the difference. Why? Because there's still a lot of darkness that's controlling us. And the only way to get rid of that darkness is to get rid of it and let it out. And that's where the steps come in. We made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God. That means we're under new management now. God is the manager of our lives. He's the one that controls it. You have to make a decision to let him control your life. When you go out into the world, somebody cuts you off, God says, I want you to pray for them. Not whatever you're thinking, whatever you're doing or waving or whatever kind of sign language you're giving. He wants to show something different. So in other words, in order for me to do that, I have to what? Become different. I can't just say I'm different, I have to become different. I have to live a different life. And if I can't live a different life, then I really haven't been transformed. The metamorphosis process has never taken place because the darkness is still controlling you. Can I get an amen for that? Well, you got to get rid of that darkness. And this is an awesome place to do that. That's where step 4 comes in, right? We made a fearless and searching moral inventory of ourselves. All of us always look at other people and what's wrong with them, instead of doing a searching and fearless inventory of my own life and showing me where my character defects are and what needs to change to line up with his character. And if you don't do it, it'll never happen. Never happen. Amen? I want us to go to James now. Let's go to page 1607, single-minded devotion. You see it on page 1607? Everybody got it? Page 1607. You see it? Step 3, single-minded devotion. We may have already chosen to follow God, letting Him define the overall direction of our life. Even so, many of us still try to keep parts of our heart hidden from God. We have devoted these parts of ourselves to gratifying our addiction, to doing things that are contrary to the will of God. This sets us up for living a double life, which can fill us with guilt, shame, and instability. Unfortunately, a lot of people live a double life. Double life. Full of hypocrisy. That's just the way it is. Even those of us who have given our heart to God face new temptations and decisions every day. Can I get an amen for that? Every day I got to turn my will over. The devil is trying to pull me out of this race. It doesn't go away. It doesn't get any better. As a matter of fact, the closer I get to God, the more the devil hammers at me, but the more power he gives me through the resurrection, if I want to use it. Or, unless my flesh, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. If your flesh is weak, and you keep doing it, it's because you really don't understand what God did, and you just need to grow. Till a baby. You can come to church all you want, 30, 40 years, and still be a baby. Because your sin nature is still controlling you. Look what it says. James was addressing believers when he wrote, "So humble yourselves before God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." How many of us try to resist the devil without God? Because only through humility and admitting that I can't do it will God come in and give you the power to do it. So it says, humble yourself before God, right? Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. So first I got to humbly admit that I can't do it in my power. I need God's power, my Savior's power. Humble. Then you can resist the devil, and then he will flee. Has anybody ever tried to resist the devil with the power of God? Or you're trying to resist it in the flesh and keep failing? If you keep failing, it's because you're trying to resist the flesh in your flesh. Because the victory is ours, the Bible says, over the flesh. Through Jesus Christ. So if you don't know Jesus Christ, you can have him but not know him and never ever get that power to resist your sin nature so you can live a victorious life as a Christian. Because you're really not giving Jesus that power. You're not giving over your will and your life to him. You're trying to do it. It's called willpower. And if you're failing, that is why. Because you are not trusting the power that saved you. Amen? Okay. And it says, come close to God, and God will come close to you. James 4:7-8. If we choose to live a double life, we may begin to doubt whether God hears us at all. As James wrote, a person with divided loyalties, unsettled as a wave of the sea that is blown and tossed by the wind. You know when you live in a double life, you say, I don't even know, maybe I'm not saved. I'm living this double life. I'm coming to church, but I'm living my way. Maybe I'm not. And it creates doubt in the believer's mind, is what it does. Living a double life. Look, the divided waters and settled as a wave of the sea that is blown and tossed by the wind. Such people should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Their loyalty is divided between God and the world, and they are unstable in everything they do. James 1, 6 and 8. When we resist the devil at every turn and draw close to God, he will draw close to us. When we open the hidden portions of our heart and begin to make choices in favor of recovery, we will soon grow confident that God desires to help us. Amen. But God wants to help each and every one of us. Amen. He desires for us to be freed from our sin nature. Jesus went to that cross to free you from the bondage of your sin nature controlling you. And the only way that's going to happen is if you submit to that power. Amen? All right, thank you for letting me share that. We're going to answer some questions on step 3 now.